I chose to analyze the piece Skinny Love by Bon Iver. A little bit about the background of this piece is that it was released in 2007. It was later covered by Birdie in 2011. And one of the most interesting things that I think about this whole album is that Justin Vernon recorded the whole thing, pretty much the whole thing, in a cabin in the woods where he spent 3 months just recording this stuff and putting it together and writing these songs. I think the meaning of this song can mean different things depending on the person, but in general, it's definitely about a relationship that's fading. A quote by Justin Vernon himself is that it's about that time in a relationship that I was going through. You're in a relationship because you need help, but that's not necessarily why you should be in a relationship, and that's Skinny. I think to me, personally, it kind of means the relationship's definitely ending, but you're holding on to that hope that maybe it's going to work out, or maybe you feel like you need that person in your life to be happy. The form of the piece starts out with a guitar intro, then it's verse, chorus, and then ends with just solo guitar again. I really like the overall timbre of the piece. It's very relaxed, definitely kind of mellow, and there's definitely a sad feeling overall that he kind of creates with a lot of the authentic sounds that he uses in the whole thing. He goes back and forth between using his chest voice and falsetto. It's just acoustic guitar pretty much in the background, but he does a lot of cool things with the guitar that make it seem more like a live performance than just a really edited version of a song. Some of those things include some of the guitar sounds that he used, where you can kind of hear the sliding of the guitar, like when your finger slides on the string, you get that little bit of a sound, and he clearly leaves that all on purpose. So it makes it all sound a little bit more authentic. Another thing that he does is that in his singing, he's definitely recorded himself more than once singing the parts, so there's a layer to the voicing that sounds pretty cool. It definitely makes the whole piece sound more raw. There's definitely a lot of emotion in his voice that even though it's not very clean and pretty sounding, there's something about it that definitely strikes emotion in the listener. I also like that at the end he adds in some clapping, that it makes it seem a little bit more almost kind of like an old school folk song by incorporating the clapping. So even though he's really just alone in a cabin in the woods, it feels like that's not the case. He also kind of adds in dynamics into the song. It starts out a lot quieter and then it gets louder, especially when he comes in at the chorus. I think what makes any good pop song really great is if there's some good motives and hooks. As you heard earlier, the chorus where it says, the verse where it says, "And I told you to be patient, and I told you to be kind." They all have the same melody, but there's just different lyrics attached, and that kind of goes in an A-B form. He also repeats my, which even if you don't know the song already, by the end of the song, you can definitely already sing along to it. So already that kind of reels the listener in, so you want to listen to the song again because you can already sing along. The harmony of the piece, it's in C minor. For the most part, it goes back and forth a lot between C and G, but there's also F and A minor. Throughout the whole piece, there's a very repetitive strum pattern used by the guitar, which is 1, 2, a 4, and 1, 2, a 4, and. And even though it's the same throughout the whole thing, it's still interesting to listen to because he does things with the guitar that's different, and he has another voice kind of on top of it. The guitar does things over the strum pattern a little bit to make it more interesting. And it's in a classic 4/4 meter. He does a lot of things with the lyrics that keep things interesting. There's a lot of rhyming used: year, here, veneer, all, fall, tall, here, brazier. So he definitely uses rhyme, just like many pop songs do. He changes up the length of lines and phrases, but for the most part, the chorus is short in length and the verses are longer. I think part of that is that you want to be able to catch on to the chorus quickly, and maybe by having shorter lyrics, that catches the listener's ear a little bit more. There's a lot of repetition, my, I told you to be, and then he always changes the word, but you can at least sing along with the first part, even if you're messing up and getting the last word wrong. I told you to be patient, I told you to be kind. Lots of repetition is used. There's also imagery and storytelling used. He kind of starts out by talking about this love that makes it seem like there's hope in the relationship, like you're holding on to that last bit of what's left, and maybe you can turn things around, maybe things are going to get better, by saying things like, in the morning I'll be with you, it'll be a different kind, I'll be holding all the tickets and you'll be owning all the fines, come on skinny love, just last year. It kind of makes it seem like you're just holding on to any bit that's left, even though you know it's probably not going to work out. By the end, it's clearly over. Now all your love is wasted, then who the hell was I? I'm breaking at the britches, and at the end of all your lines. I think a lot of people can relate to this song. Everyone's dealt with some kind of breakup at some point, for the most part. So it's definitely a song that many people can relate to on some level. Overall, after analyzing this piece, I think some of the things that clearly make a pop song good are that there's some repetition used. There's also something for the listener to connect to. You want to listen to a piece that you can relate to on some level, or that you feel like relates maybe to something going on in your life. There's also definitely hooks that reel the listener in. And then it's not completely expected. There's some element of surprise that makes the song different or interesting and not sound like every other song. But it's relatable enough and familiar enough that it's not completely new. Thanks for listening.